everybody, welcome to Crack Pack Tuesday, number 110 on the Mana League. I'm John, as always. We've got more Amonkhet. We've got 3 of these left, and then we're going to be done with this set. We're going to be on to set reviews of Hour of Devastation, and then we're going to be cracking open packs of Hour of Devastation instead. But let's open this one. Whoops, let's drop it as well. Let's see what's in it, and see what we would take pack one, pick one if this was a draft. Up first is a Forsake the Worldly, a pure sideboard card. 2 and a white for an instant, exile target artifact or enchantment, cycling 2. I don't main deck this, absolutely ever. I side it in if I see a Sandworm Convergence, if I see there's not much else, if I see an Edifice of Authority. You know when to side this in, but I would not main deck it. Compelling Argument. 1 and a blue for a sorcery. Target player puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, cycling for 1 blue mana. Surprisingly playable purely in the cycling deck. If you have Drakehaven, if you have Archfiend of Ifnir, if you have something that's really going to pay you off for cycling, Compelling Argument's surprisingly good in those decks. Don't ever play it for that part. Ignore that part. This card simply says pay a blue, draw a card. That's all this card says. Yes, I know you can use it for Approach of the Second Sun, which is a mild fringe case for playing that as well. Thresher Lizard, 3 mana for a 3/2, gets +1/+2 as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand. Totally fine. I like these quite a bit. I'll pick them relatively highly. I would feel real bad if we picked it first. Doomed Dissenter, 1 and a black for a creature, human, 1/1. When it dies, you get a 2/2 black zombie creature token. I don't really like Doomed Dissenter. If I'm playing it, it's 100% because I'm in a zombie deck. Maybe it's because I'm in a counters deck, and this eating a counter and getting a 2/2 is nice. But if I'm black, not zombies, not counters, this card's not really that great. And definitely not a first pick, even in those decks that want it. Ornery Kudu is the worst of the counter creatures. 2 and a green for a creature antelope. When it comes to the battlefield, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature you control. It's a 3/4. Yeah, this is not great. If you play it as a 2/3 for 3, you're just kind of playing a really crummy vanilla creature. If you throw a counter on maybe a Doom Dissenter, you're getting some value. Getting a 3/4 for 3 is fun. But again, as we talked about in the past few weeks, there's a 4/3 for 2 in the set. There's a 4/3 for 3, rare for some reason, despite the uncommon 2 mana one. This just gets outclassed. It's fine filler, but it's very far from a first pick. Floodwaters, 4 blue for a sorcery, return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hand, cycling for 2 generic mana. Not great in a slow or in an aggro format like this. If you can really slow the game down, it's fine, and I'll play this in a deck that I think can successfully slow the game down. If you're in a cycling deck, it's an okay include as well, but there are obviously much better 1 mana cyclers. But again, very far from a first pick. Gift of Paradise is 2 and a green for an enchantment or enchant land. When Gift of Paradise enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. Enchanted land has tap. Add 2 mana. It'd be bad if it was 1 mana. Add 2 mana of any one color to your mana pool. Fine ramp. I'll play this if I need fixing. If I need ramp and I didn't get Vitalists, I might play this. But that's really if I'm playing something dumb like Sandworm Convergence. I don't go out of my way to play this, and it's certainly very far from a first pick. Wasteland Scorpion is 2 and a black for a creature scorpion, death touch with cycling 2. It's a 2/2. It's a fine card. Like Thresher Lizard, I'd feel really bad if I had to first pick this, but the way this pack's going, let's have our little desert friends here hang out in frame for the moment. We've got an Emberhorn Minotaur, which I think blows up Wasteland Scorpion and Thresher Lizard, so their time in the sun is done. 3 and a red for a 4/3 creature Minotaur Warrior. You can exert it when it attacks, and if you do, gets +1/+1 against Menace until end of turn. This is a great curve topper in an aggressive deck, but you don't really want that many 4-drops. This is probably like one of the 1 that you would want. But yeah, I would not feel horrible about first picking an Emberhorn Minotaur. But again, I would still say this is a fairly weak pack, if that's the case. Those Who Serve is 2 and a white for a creature zombie vanilla 2/4. Surprisingly okay, considering we have significantly weaker creatures for more mana in this set. This is a serviceable blocker, and if you're in the zombie deck, then it can do even a little bit more work. But yeah, you're not first picking this. You're not second picking this. You're not third, fourth, fifth, probably even 6th picking this. You're picking this quite late. Our first uncommon is Warfire Javelineer, 3 and a red for a creature Minotaur Warrior. It's a 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to target creature an opponent controls, where X is the number of instant and or sorcery cards in your graveyard. It actually doesn't say or on there. Interesting. Yeah, I've come up on this. I wasn't too high on this outside of the blue-red spells deck, but I think even getting a shock off of this is fine. And it's not too hard to get a shock off it. That being said, the times that this is in your hand and you have nothing in the graveyard sucks a lot. We just looked at a 3-mana 2/4. Here we are at a 4-mana 2/3. Yeah, it's fine. I would consider first picking it, I think, and kind of keeping an eye out for Enigma Drakes and stuff like that. But yeah, still a weak pack. Let's see if we can get up there with this. We cannot. Vizier of Remedies, 1 and a white for a 2/1 creature, human cleric. If 1 or more -1/-1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many -1/-1 counters -1 are put on it instead. This is really more of a sideboard card or a really weak aggro card. That being said, I have a dream of combining this with Consuming Fervor, so that Consuming Fervor is just 1 mana +3/+3 aura with no downside. I've yet to do it. Maybe someday. We'll see. But I would never first pick a Vizier of Remedies. Renewed Faith is our final uncommon, and it's a real faded looking one too. 2 and a white for an instant, you gain 6 life. Cycling 1 and a white. Whenever you cycle it, you gain 2 life. Womp womp. In a cycling deck, maybe you'd play this, but there's better cyclers in there, so I'm out on it. And our rare isn't great. Bounty of the Luxa, 2 green-blue for an enchantment that has a whole bunch of words on it that basically says you draw a card next turn. The turn after that, you gain 3 mana in your main step. The turn after that, you draw a card. The turn after that, you gain 3 mana. I've played with it. It's in my store league deck, which was miserable because this is just way too slow. Spending turn 4 doing literally nothing is your end in this format. So Bounty of the Luxa, I do not think, is a valid competitive first pick. If you want to have some fun, go for it. But I think the first pick here, boy, I don't even know. It's not Bounty. Ugh, I don't know if you take the Warfire and really try to make the blue-red spells happen, or if you just take the Emberhorn Minotaur because it's going to be decent. Boy. I don't know. Discuss this one in the comments. I think I would just be taking the Warfire Javelineer and hoping, but I don't know if that's the right choice. Let me know in the comments below. Would you have taken the Warfire Javelineer, the Emberhorn Minotaur, the Bounty of the Luxa, or something else? As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at TheManaLeak. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at twitch.tv/TheManaLeak, facebook.com/TheManaLeak, and patreon.com/TheManaLeak, where you can back the channel, keep it going, make it grow, earn a playmat, and other various things, so check that out. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.